We've all heard this phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. Um, while that can be true, if you want to be like an ultimate master of something, you want to be the master of this one little specific niche thing, that's cool. But there's a lot of people out there where specializing in one specific thing and nothing else is kind of boring. It's kind of, you have more time than to just focus on this. And if you tried to focus all of your time on it, you would get burnt out and not want to do it anymore. But there's this select group of people. I don't want to make it seem like it's like a bunch of different fucking like special people. There's a lot of people like this. For me, I have fucking ADHD like a motherfucker, so I can hyper focus on something for a long time, but after I'm done, I need something else to jump to. And I've always kind of been like this, and I've always had multiple interests, but I didn't know how to juggle them. I didn't know how to stay consistent and stay disciplined with them and make progress in them. It was kind of like I just make little incremental things. I'm not really getting anywhere. I'm not getting any better. And there's three main things that I would kind of underline as rules. Because if you're going to do this and go off the beaten path of one specific thing, you need a group of rules to at least keep you straight with it. So, the first thing and the most important thing is to cut yourself off at some point. Do not let yourself just run wild with your interests, because if you're like me, every little fucking thing will just pull you this way, pull you this way, pull you this way, and you never fucking go anywhere with any of them because you're just constantly finding new things and getting absolutely like deep down the rabbit holes of all of them. You could be fucking highly into art, and then all of a sudden some conspiracy thing piques your interest, and then you want to go discover and explore that. And you just gotta be really mindful. The main thing is mindfulness. You have to become constantly conscious and mindful about what you are doing. And for me, speaking of my own experience, right now, the main 3 or 4 things that I focus heavily on is, first, I build houses. I'm a contractor. I find joy in it. I find joy in taking something apart and putting it back together new, whether that's a remodel, whether that's new construction, and just like starting from the ground up. It's pretty cool. That's what puts the bread on the table. That's what is the 8-hour shift, okay? But I'm not going to come home and just constantly keep working on construction, so I needed something else. And I rediscovered something that I liked as a kid, which was making music. So I fucking put a bunch of money and built a studio with drums and guitars and all this shit, and I'm slowly progressing towards that. And then those two didn't completely do it for me. I needed another little bit of sauce. So I added in oil painting, specifically like portraits. I never was super good at drawing as a kid, but then one day I picked up oil painting and did 3 portraits, and on my third, I painted my pawpaw, and it was like extremely realistic, and I was like, well, maybe I have a little knack for this or something. So it's something that I also incorporate. And then the fourth one would be like these videos. And I cut myself off because once I discovered these artistic ventures, I started finding rabbit holes inside of these interests that would just like take me and keep adding. With the art, whenever it comes to like drawing, painting, that shit, I started discovering like this world of tattooing, and it was like incredibly fascinating to me, where I was just like, holy fucking shit, this is so cool. I bought all this equipment and I start trying it, and then I'm like, well, how am I going to juggle these other things that I'd already invested so much time and resources into? And that's when I had to consciously sit myself down. And with music, I started getting into hip-hop and all this other shit, when originally I didn't set out like that. I set out just like, kind of like Tame Impala music, where you play guitar, play bass on it, play drums on it, create your little fucking song, there you go. And within that is a whole subset of skills with learning the drums, learning the guitar, learning the bass, learning the fucking keys. There's all little subset skills, and whenever I added those other complexities, it just blew it up to something where I don't have the time for it. So, cut yourself off at some point, and then nestle yourself into some sort of routine or basic guideline principle that will basically guide you. I mean, for me, I have more than these 4 interests. I'm also interested in, like, for the past 3 years, I've been really into, like, working out, bodybuilding, powerlifting, that type of shit. As well as, well, there's really just so many. But I'm very disciplined with them. Because there's certain ones where once you cut yourself off, you have to decide whether this is going to be a background autopilot activity that you're going to consistently do, but it takes minimal time, so it's not going to interfere with your bigger projects. For me, this was the bodybuilding. This was something where I'm like, all right, in the past, I've lived where this is my main thing. I work, and then as soon as I get to go to the gym, it's like a 3-hour venture with my boys, and we're sitting there pumping, we're getting that pump, boy, and it was fun, and I still love it, so I'm not going to give it up. So I had to think to myself, how do I organize this to benefit me? I have to make it an autopilot activity where I'm mindful. I got all the knowledge from bodybuilding and shit. I lost over 100 pounds and put on some muscle. So I'm knowledgeable about how to do this shit whenever it comes to diet and all this. And I'm knowledgeable enough where I can put it into autopilot. I can schedule my workouts the same way every single week, incrementally increase the weight, increase volume, yada, 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 and just get that shit done and not have to think too much about it. And I'll still kind of achieve a similar result if I put all my focus into it. And I've had to do that with numerous things. Painting. I still make a painting at least once a week, but no longer am I painting like 7 paintings a week like I was at one point. So it's kind of like, it's not a complete autopilot activity, but do you understand what I'm saying? I had to really value the pros and cons of each interest and put them in their own little slot where I'm not giving them up. I'm just kind of being more realistic with my time. Because I am one of these people where I do a lot of these disciplined habits and I manage my time the best I can. I only have like an hour of screen time on my phone, and most of that is just from like looking up a fucking tutorial or messing around with just random shit like that. I hardly ever scroll and do all that like doom scrolling bullshit. And that brings us to our next point. So to overview the last 2 points, we have cut yourself off from interest at some point, and then nestle yourself into certain ones. Second, nestle yourself into a very flowed routine where some are on autopilot and take less of your attention, and then the ones that are more important to you are on the surface. So now we're juggling, right? What happens whenever someone just comes in and like starts swatting at you and fucking with you, trying to like mess you? You're trying to keep this juggling up. You're trying to focus. You're getting it right. You're getting the fucking balls going. You got 3 balls going. Juggle, juggle, juggle. What if someone just starts going like that to you? Start trying to be like fucking with you while you're juggling. That's distractions. You have to not allow yourself to be distracted from these things, because if you've nestled yourself into a strict routine to balance these interests, these hobbies, these passions, you're aware that, all right, if I pick just one of them and became the best person at this one, that's my best choice. But mentally, I can't do that. I get bored and I won't get the shit done. I have to have other things. But to successfully accomplish this, which is harder than just having one, you have to limit most of your distractions. For me, that comes in the form of digital minimalism, minimizing the time I spend distracting myself online. For me, the way I do that is I set specific times. Maybe once every couple days, I'll watch a movie in the evening at like 7 o'clock once I finished all my shit with my grandpa. Because I really enjoy that. I really enjoy watching great fucking movies. it's beautiful the way the mind works, how it can just transport you into that place. It's really a curiosity of mine. And at one point, like making movies, artistic videos, film directing, I was deep in that rabbit hole, boy. I was down there in that interest, also trying to juggle the music and the painting. And I had to think to myself, is this truly, because I think a lot of it's ego-driven. We all want to be like the best at every single thing. Whenever you have this bug of hyper-obsession and curiosity, you want to be the best at everything. And for me, I really had to sit myself down and not look in the mirror, but look internally and be like, is this truly what you'd want to do over the music, over the painting? And I was just kind of like, no. I really was honest with myself, and I was like, no. So, what is the best of both worlds with that? I'll make these videos here. I get to play around with radio, film. I get to play around with that a little bit. If I get the bug, I'll make some cinematic shots. But for the most part, I've kind of given up on that because it doesn't interest me as much as this. And I can still experience the most joyous part of it, which for me, whenever I was making like cinematic shit, editing 13-hour videos, the most enjoyable process, besides like while you're editing, like all the little ideas that come into your head, the little salt and pepper, there you're like, oh, I could add this here, oh, I could add this here. That was fun, but the most entertaining part was having the finished product of the video that you're proud of. And I can somewhat finger that little urge and play with that sense by just actually watching a masterful movie. So, you really got to think. And I know we all do this art. We all love art because of these little moments while we're creating it of like, oh, I could put this here. Oh, I could do this here. It's like this shit all starts coming to you, and it's so interesting how it works. But you have to choose which ones you like that feeling in more. And which ones does it not feel like work or effort? For me, it's music. I can literally practice drum rudiments, like the most monotonous shit to some people, for like an hour at a time, and I have fun doing it. Same thing with painting. I turn on like a record, like a Led Zeppelin 2 or fucking Beatles Revolver, feel like I'm taking a hit of acid or something, and just like go off and just paint. And it's awesome. You sit there, and as you're painting, for me, I like to kind of take a traditional approach, like a Caravaggio or something, or like just like one of the old masters where they mastered light and realism, and then mix that in with just like that salt and pepper. Mix that in with, oh, I could fucking add this here, and I could make this like a Basquiat, and then I could like add all these different things, and it's so fun. I painted, let me see if I can get it in the thing. I painted that of Kanye, which isn't my best painting, but I added all these little elements that just pop up and shit. That's why I like doing it. But back to you and back to juggling. These are the main points. You have to cut yourself off from exploring other interests at some point. Nestle yourself into yours. Decide which ones are going to be which ones you're going to spend less time on, and which ones you're going to spend more time on, which ones are more important to you. And the third and the second most important, do not allow yourself to be distracted. This will be your killer. If you have your routine dialed in, and set down on like a fucking a yellow legal notepad piece of paper of what you got to do, and then when that time comes in your day to get that task done, or go into that flow state on a painting, or practice this or practice that, but instead you start feeling, I don't know, and you start scrolling, or you don't utilize your set times to distract yourself with other mediums that you're not creating, because it all comes down, if you want success in this, you have to create more than you consume. That's the only way you move the pendulum forward on your progress. So, that is one of the most important things, my boy. Strictly limit your distractions. Okay? I'll just explain my routine a little bit to how I manage time, and that's the last thing I'll leave you with. For me, I have to take a lot of the hustle culture habits whenever it comes to like things that like a lot of people, they don't like these habits because they're like, oh, it's toxic, oh, it works you to the bone. But if you really want success, you want it to be a possibility that you can pursue all these ventures and eventually monetize them into a full-time thing. You really, and I mean really, you have to pick you have to pick some of these habits and utilize them to your best potential. For me, the waking up at 5 a.m. I have to go to work and have a 30-minute car ride from 7 to 7:30. So that means I wake up at 5 to give me an extra 2, prepare all my lunch and all that shit the day before. Wake up at 5 so I can have 2 hours before work to work on something. Whether that's me utilizing that time, mostly it's me utilizing that time to just knock the workout out of the way. I knock that little bit of autopilot bodybuilding, powerlifting shit out of the way, so then I can just, after work, focus completely on my art. And I'll have like a solid 5-hour chunk. You have to utilize this time. And going more into the hustle culture, David Goggins, who a lot of artist people I don't think would like that much, but for me, I've been deep into the hustle culture shit, so I do like him. I've kind of melded these two worlds of artist and hustle culture, where it's like, do what you love, follow your passion, your dreams, your purpose, if you will, and then instill upon you these time management habits. So get all that shit done. Get my little bit of reading that I know I'm wanting to do in the day done then. Practice my drum rudiments a little bit. And then go to work, come straight home, and then I need to build some momentum. This is where a lot of people I feel fuck up, is if they work a full-time job, they feel like all their momentum is gone. So I envision I shock the body. I keep I keep these in my pocket. These are good if you're trying to do all this crazy shit. You might have a heart attack, but if you're trying to go, get this shit done, that's what you need. That sauce that's in it. Put a little upper decker in that mouth. But take all the shit out of my pockets, just put them on the counter. No music, anything. Hit the fucking trails. I live on property, 50 acres, and I just run my trails. Try to get a mile or two in. Fucking run. Just run. Not real fast. Slow jog. But just something where I'm doing something I don't like to spark that initiative in me. Then it's dead winter, so I come straight inside and jump in the shower with no hot water. So it's fucking 30-degree water hitting me, where it almost gives you a brain freeze. And that shit shocks the body. It's all right, dog, we just got done with work, but we ain't done yet. We gonna keep fucking going. Get done with that. Then I come straight into here. And then I just start practicing on my guitar shit a little bit. I start just noodling and shit. And I try to practice guitar, drums. Bass is one of the things I kind of autopilot. I have some theory on it, so I can implement it into my songs pretty easily. But I do that. And then after I'm done with that, I'll go paint for a little bit. I'm trying to do this weekly painting where I still have a really good quality painting. And I just add an hour or an hour and a half worth of strokes every day to it till it becomes what I want at the end of the week. Sometimes I'll sit down with a little 9x12 piece and just do a full painting on that in a day. It just depends. But by that time, after all that's done, it's normally about 7 o'clock. I get home from work about 3, and then I'm off working to that shit until 7 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock is my decision point. My decision point to either hang out with my grandpa, which is a real good distressing time, or we'll either watch a movie or mostly go outside, sit by a campfire, go to the neighbors, hang out, shit like that. So that's pretty much the routine, and it might sound monotonous, but it allows me to make progress very, very rapidly. So use me by example. As well as I do not drink alcohol and I do not smoke weed. A lot of creative people would find that blasphemous. Dude, I need weed for art. For me, it takes away my ambition, it takes away my structure, and it takes away my discipline. Same with alcohol. So I just can't utilize them. I had to cut them out, and I've been sober from them for 8 months or so now. And that's saying a lot, because I used to be heavily addicted to that shit. But utilize me by example. This is how you juggle. Cut yourself off from going through too many passions. Nestle yourself in with a certain set of them. Decide which ones you want to do more than others. And then do not allow yourself to be distracted. Keep on juggling, boy. Chase paper. Enjoy nature, my boy.